Vegeta, the Saiyan Prince. He was born a prodigy, a Saiyan with a lot of potential, and this potential was explored throughout Dragon Ball Z as well as Dragon Ball Super, as Vegeta advances through all his different forms, powering up even further. This is of course further exemplified in the recent arc where Vegeta unlocks a new form equal to that of Ultra Instinct, the technique of the angels. However, one part of Vegeta that wasn't really explored much was Vegeta's childhood on planet Vegeta. How did King Vegeta treat Prince Vegeta throughout his childhood years? As we saw in Dragon Ball Super Broly, King Vegeta was pinning all his hopes in defeating Frieza on the baby Vegeta. So I expected King Vegeta to be somewhat harsh on Prince Vegeta. However, what we realized was that Vegeta had this mindset cultivated into him, that he was a Saiyan Prince, a high-class Saiyan warrior, and he didn't need to train in order to attain greater heights and greater power. So this is where we'll start changing things. Vegeta was trained intensely by King Vegeta throughout his childhood life. He was pushed to his limit over and over again, exploiting the power that Saiyans know best, Zenkai boost. Vegeta was injured badly during training. However, he recuperated quickly in the healing chamber, then coming out to train once again. Vegeta would pit Vegeta against different Saiyan warriors like Nappa, etc. And Vegeta would just be pushed over and over again. And honestly, Vegeta detested his life on planet Vegeta. He could tell that his father, King Vegeta, never actually cared about him. He himself was just a tool for King Vegeta to achieve his ambitions through. So, as usual, we have the scene where Frieza decides to destroy planet Vegeta. Luckily for Prince Vegeta, he wasn't present on planet Vegeta at that point in time. This leads to the majority of the Saiyan race perishing in one fell swoop. As we all know, Prince Vegeta at this point is hanging out with Nappa and Raditz and a few other Saiyans. As we all know, next 10 years really goes by without any significant events happening. Vegeta grows up. However, one change that we'll be editing here is that Vegeta will be constantly pushing himself to his limit, trying to break his limits and achieve even greater power. And honestly, the rest of the Saiyans look at Vegeta very weirdly. I mean, Prince Vegeta was a Saiyan Prince, and he was a high-class Saiyan warrior. Why was he subjecting himself to such extreme methods? After all, they didn't need to train to be strong, and King Vegeta was already gone. So Prince Vegeta didn't even need to listen to him anymore. So why was Prince Vegeta still training despite King Vegeta already passing on? Well, they don't understand Vegeta's mindset in this case. Vegeta wants to push himself to get stronger, to get even further, and eventually defeat Frieza. He didn't like that his sole purpose was to defeat Frieza, but at this point, he didn't have any other goal in mind. That was his sole purpose for existing. So 10 years quickly passed by. Vegeta and Nappa are just hanging out on a planet they just conquered and were about to sell it for profit. This is when Raditz communicates with them. He had just been killed by a Namekian on Earth, along with his brother Kakarot. And Vegeta hears about this interesting thing called the Dragon Balls. Apparently, it could grant any wish, and Vegeta immediately perks up at that. This was his moment. This was his opportunity. This was the way he was going to defeat Frieza. So Vegeta and Nappa decide to make their way over to Earth as usual. So now, the events of the Saiyan saga start to occur where Vegeta and Nappa arrive on Earth. As usual, Vegeta faces off against Goku when Goku finally arrives on the scene. However, unlike the original canon events, Vegeta's power far exceeds his canon counterpart. He is at a base power level of 100,000 instead of 18,000. This far eclipses anything Goku is capable of at this point in time, and Vegeta could tell that Goku was no match for him at all. Goku pushes his body to his limits. Kaioken times 4, and even Kaioken times 5 for one brief moment. However, Vegeta simply smacks Goku away like a small little fly. Goku was no match at all for Vegeta, and Vegeta mocks Goku, telling Goku that he was a low-class Saiyan warrior that could never match him ever, as he punches Goku straight in the face, sending Goku flying backwards. Goku was gravely injured and on the brink of death. Vegeta honestly just wants to finish all of them off right here and now. However, he had one other thing in mind. He threatens them, telling them that he will kill all of them if they didn't give him the Dragon Balls right now. Of course, they were all hesitant to do so. After all, the Dragon Balls were a powerful weapon and they didn't know what Vegeta wanted with the Dragon Balls. Up on Kami's lookout, Kami looks down. This was a grave situation. Bulma steps in, telling Vegeta to please spare the Z Fighters. She had the Dragon Radar and was willing to trade the Dragon Balls for their lives. Goku tries to stand up to refute Bulma's argument. However, Bulma shuts Goku down, telling Goku to shut up. After all, she had a plan in mind. Kami had actually communicated with her in secret through the power of telepathy. He wanted Bulma to lead Vegeta on a very long journey around Earth, collecting the Dragon Balls at a very slow pace, while Kami makes his way over to the wastelands to fuse with Piccolo Jr. Kami didn't want to end his own life right there and then. However, he knew there was no choice. He needed a warrior strong enough to stand up to Vegeta, and Piccolo was their best chance. Furthermore, once Kami fuses into Piccolo, the Dragon Balls will also be completely useless, meaning Vegeta is unable to get any of his wishes. However, one problem stood in their way. This was none other than Nappa. Nappa was still there guarding the Z Fighters, preventing them from escaping. And now the Z Fighters were in any shape to defeat Nappa at this point in time. They were just all too injured by Vegeta. However, one thing Nappa didn't account for was the senzu beans. Goku still had one senzu bean left in his back pocket. Now we move back over to Vegeta and Bulma. And Bulma was just purposely leading Vegeta on the long route to collect the Dragon Balls. Vegeta was honestly really annoyed. However, he knew that his wish was just within his grasp and didn't mind a little more waiting. Goku picks up the senzu bean and immediately eats it, his power restoring back to its former glory. Nappa looks up and realizes Goku had flown straight above him with Kaioken times 2. Goku immediately rushes straight towards Nappa. Nappa couldn't even register Goku's movements. Goku was just too quick for him, as Goku defeats Nappa in one fell swoop, immediately suppressing his power level so that Vegeta wouldn't notice through his scouter. After all, Vegeta still couldn't sense power levels at this point in time. He also immediately destroys Nappa's scouter so that Nappa couldn't communicate with Vegeta. And now Kami arrives on the scene. He nods at Piccolo. This was the only way. Piccolo was also pretty hesitant, but he knew this was their only solution, as Kami finally fuses into Piccolo, forming the Super Namekian Warrior. Piccolo was so intrigued by his power that he forgot to suppress his power as he powers up to his maximum. He was super amazed. This was amazing. He could defeat anyone now, even that brat Vegeta. And Vegeta and Bulma were still getting the Dragon Balls at that point in time, when suddenly all the Dragon Balls they had suddenly turned to stone. Vegeta was pissed off. Was this a scam? And suddenly his scouter explodes. Vegeta could sense a huge power on the horizon. He knew that he was being shunned, that someone was playing tricks on him. And this is where we'll end off for now. How will Vegeta face off against the Super Namekian Warrior Piccolo? Will he be able to prevail, or will Piccolo defeat him? Well, these are questions and answers in the next part on Dragon Ball Z.